Welcome to another episode of No Recipe Challenge. Today I'm going to be making a shelf-stable chili oil. Really delicious, very similar to Trader Joe's chili onion crunch. All you need is some minced dried garlic, minced dried onion, some crushed red chili flake, smoked paprika, some coarse salt, vegetable oil, and Szechuan peppercorns. I put them in a mill and already pre-ground some here. So the first thing I do, it's really easy. You just have to get a heat-proof vessel. I'm using this mason jar. And it's really important that room is left at the top because we're going to be dumping hot oil into this jar and it will froth up when it touches our other ingredients. So we have to make sure there's room. So I'm going to fill this up about halfway with oil. And then I'm going to dump it into a saucepan on medium-high heat. We're going to let that get really nice and hot until it starts to shimmer here. And I'm going to set this jar in a pan. So I'm going to dump the oil into this jar. And the pan will act as a catching vessel just in case it does overflow. I'm not concerned about it doing so, but it's just an in-case thing. And so now I start adding my ingredients. I'm going to start with the onion. And I'm trying to fill this jar up about a third of the way full with ingredients. I do about equal parts of granulated garlic, granulated onion, and the chili flake. I find that this gives you a really nice oil that's not too hot. It will be, it is a very spicy oil, but if you go too heavy on the chili flake, it will turn out very, very spicy. And I am going to use all of this peppercorn. The Szechuan peppercorn has a numbing kind of spicy flavor. So it is good to be careful. You want to make sure it's ground up really fine. Any big pieces will be very unpalatable. And then I'm going to add salt as well. A good amount of salt because this chili crunch is going to be used very sparingly. So the salt is nice to have. And then we're going to do some smoked paprika. Let me take off the lid here. So this smoked paprika will add a nice smoky flavor to it, but it'll also color the oil really nicely. Now you could use different types of oil for this. A stronger tasting oil would be preferable, something that you really enjoy. I wouldn't use olive oil or something like that, but like a peanut oil, like an avocado oil even, just kind of what kind of oil you like. So our oil's been heating up for just a few minutes here. It's not quite ready yet. You're starting to see a little shimmer, but not quite where we want it. Right now I'm going to mix up all the ingredients so it's all incorporated evenly. And this is a good point where you can kind of see your ratio, see if you want to add more of anything. Like this is looking a little not chili dominant for me, so I'm just going to add a little bit more chili flake because I do want a decent amount of heat from this oil. So I'll just add a little bit more chili flake there. Continue to stir it up. Okay, so that's about the ratio I like. Okay, so it's just been another minute here, and our oil's looking really nice and shimmery now. It's quite hot. So now I'm going to take it over, and I'm going to dump it into our container here. And this is, got to be very careful with this. You see how it's bubbling up real good? It's exactly what you want to see. Last little bit here. I'll give this a nice stir. And so now the chili oil is made. We had no spillover this time, which is great, but you see how much of this jar filled up. I think that was about the perfect amount. As I was pouring, the foam probably got to this kind of upper limit, but I poured slower as that started to happen. Let me cook up some rice, and I will have this after it cools down. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes, and it's cooled down quite a bit. You can see it right here. It's pretty thick, which is what I'm looking for. It should have a nice crunchy texture. So I'm just going to put it on the rice here and see how it tastes. And you can always adjust how much oil you use in proportion to your ingredients. So you could get more of a chili oil instead of like a crunchy oil to put on things. Yeah, it's very rich. The onion and garlic really hit you first. Gives that a nice, lovely, like, rich taste. And then the heat of the chili and the smokiness of the paprika come in at the back. And it gives you this really nice, like, lingering mild heat and a nice, delicious smokiness. This is really tasty. My oil probably was just a touch hot. It's a little, I don't know if it comes through, but the chili flake in this is just a little on the dark side. So after sitting down and eating some more of that rice, I did realize it is burnt. It's scorched. Just the chili flake in it, because it's so much smaller pieces than the onion and the garlic. Usually you can really tell when garlic has gone too far. It's got a really acrid, terrible taste. And I wasn't getting that at first, but as I sat down with it and I was eating the pieces individually, the chili definitely is overdone. So I have more oil on the burner and I have more of the chili mix. The great thing about this, it really takes only a couple minutes to throw this together. Very simple. So I'm going to wait for this oil to heat up a little bit more, but not nearly as hot as the previous one, so that we get a much better product at the end. So give me 1 minute to finish heating this up and we'll get this going. Okay, so my oil has started to shimmer here just like it was before, but this time I'm going to turn the heat off and I'm going to let it sit for just a second to cool down a little bit so I don't scorch the chili peppers. I was able to save the oil from the last batch, and that oil does not taste burnt at all. It has a really nice flavor, so I can use that for stir fries or really anything that I'm wanting it with. So let it cool down for just a minute here. Okay, now I'll start to add it and see if it foams up quite the same. It is much less foamy than last time, which is a great sign. And I want to get this stirring so that none of the individual chili flakes burn. And you can see how the previous one turned a much darker color. This one still has its redness to it. So that's what I'm looking for. This looks a lot better. Okay. So I'll give this about 15-20 minutes to cool down, and then I'll put it on some more rice. And I'll tell you how this one tastes in comparison. Okay, so now it's had time to cool down. It is looking much nicer here. You can see how much redder that chili flake is. So let me get some of this on some rice and I'll tell you the difference. I'm going to grab a fork. Definitely has a bit more of a kick. The flavor is much brighter. Really tasty. Yeah, this without it being burnt. It tastes much better. Who would have guessed? Well, anyway, that is how you actually make the Trader Joe's Mimicking Crunch. Tastes so much better this way. Perfectly heated and toasted into there. And it'll just get better over the next few days. I'll be using it on everything. Thanks for watching.